My name is Enrico Latella. I'm a supervising location manager and I worked on 6 Underground.
My name is Mary Baltrop. I was the supervising location manager on the Netflix film Extraction.
I'm Daniel Lee, the location manager of The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Hello, I am Jody Schiesser, the location manager for the Peanut Butter Falcon.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you for watching. I'm Mabel Kong, and we are here talking today to our LMGI 2020 award nominees for contemporary features. We have a lot to get going, or we have a lot to cover in the next 30 minutes, so let's get right to it. So hello, Daniel Lee, location manager for The Last Black Man in San Francisco, which is airing on Amazon Prime. So how are you and where are you today?
I'm at home in San Francisco, Richmond District. It's a foggy day as usual.
Okay, that's awesome. But so SF always strikes me as a very thriving city, chock full of people. How did you so when and how did you shoot that you were able to capture such lonely soulfulness of the city?
It is a densely populated city, 7 by 7 miles. There's a lot of bodies within that 7-mile radius, but street closures and pedestrian lockup. There was one funny time though during a lockup. This 90-plus-year-old woman was trying to cross, and I was helping with the lockup, and I told her that we're filming. We would like her to not cross because we're not trying to see the faces of the public. And she interpreted that by covering her face and then just walking through the shot. It was cute. It was cute. I let her go. It made me laugh.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I know your film was nominated for over 48 awards. And even with the LMGI awards, and it was, you had the smallest budget coming in at an estimated $2 million.
Yeah.
So, please tell us how you pulled this off and what you enjoyed most about this production.
The money part was a hard part. We took advantage of the San Francisco Film Rebate Program. So the way it worked, any government city entity that you paid into, you would eventually get that amount of money back after the filming was all done, provided that you can prove that you worked whatever the percentage was of days in San Francisco. And the opening shot, if you remember the young girls running along the ports with the water in the background, that there was a huge fence in front of that. And initially, when I was starting the movie, pricing out the cost of removing that fence, it was in the deep thousands. And I ended up finding out that the San Francisco Department of Public Works could also do that work, which would be a government entity, which allowed me to use the rebate program to get rid of the fence. But had it not been for that, that one fence removal, which was several yards deep, I could have costed the same amount of 3 or 4 locations that I would have had to nix from the whole movie. So that really, really was a big chunk of money that I think saved the movie.
Wow, that's great. So the home, right? It's so beautiful and perfect. How did you come to land on it? Does someone live there? How many homes did you have to pitch?
I don't know how many homes I looked at. There was a lot of homes. That one that we ended up landing on, the director and one of the co-writers happened to be walking by that one, and the owner was standing outside, and they just struck up a conversation with him. And then in their conversation, he dropped that MTV had once done a webisode at his house. So that kind of turned the radar on in their mind. And then they started pitching the movie, and he was interested, and then they got me involved to flesh out all the details. But that one was luck, really. That house was luck.
How did you deal with negotiating the locations?
Good. I don't know, it's different for everyone. I mean, I don't even know how to answer that one. There was one location we had, which was a Chinese grocery store, and we didn't have the money to hire a translator, and I had to do the work. So I'm half Chinese, so I speak a little Cantonese. And with my broken Cantonese and with the grocery store owner's broken English, we somehow worked it out and I got the deal. But it was, I don't know, it was very different negotiating all of them. And, you know, having to like dig and dig and dig and, you know, look for another location that will actually work for the rate that we could afford. It was a lot of work, a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm Cantonese also, so we have that commonality. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And yeah, I look forward to just seeing it. And I'm glad you took time to like talk about your project and to share about it with the world.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Well, Enrico Latella, location manager for 6 Underground, which is airing on Netflix. Like, welcome. How are you and where are you zooming in from?
Thank you. Very well, and yeah, I'm born and I live in Rome. I'm based in Rome, in Italy.
Wow, that's quite a spot.
Yeah.
So please tell me, how did you convince the Italian government to let you shoot this screaming car chase scene through like the core of Florence and put a parkour guy on a 600-year-old roof of El Duomo?
Yeah, it was a step by step. We started talking with the mayor of all the towns involved in the movies. There was Florence, Siena, and the last was Taranto in South Italy. And we start talking with them, introducing the project. And of course, our project was very, very difficult and very unusual. And so we start talking with the mayor and then with the officer, municipal officers, authorities, and we had many meetings. The shooting plan was always changing, so that was the hard part of the job. Because Michael Bay was trying to figure out the movie, the scene, the action, and so few weeks prior to the shooting, we had the final conference meeting with at least 45 persons, the museum, the authorities, the municipal offices, and we describe the actions and to get their feedback and the authorization. And then, of course, as I said, the step by step, we finally got what we looking for.
Oh, nice. Did you know from the beginning that you would be shooting at El Duomo?
When Michael Bay came in Florence, he asked for that, and of course, my first reaction was a little bit, because it's not as easy to shoot on a dome, even because it's very difficult to get on top and get authorization from the fine arts and from the Duomo management. So we involve engineers, we involve stunt coordinators. They did a great job. And of course, with their restriction, we find a way to use the dome. And when we shoot, we had the drones, the helicopter, the parkour guy on top, and a few crew on the top for 2 hours from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And we were able to shoot that sequence with different cameras. So was a tough scene, but at the end everything was great, and I was a little bit better after that. Yes.
Nice. Well, can you please describe the size of your teams used in each location? So is it true the location in Italy had 32 members?
Yeah, in Italy we had 32 members. In Florence we had 16 person, and the rest was in Siena, Rome, and Taranto. We had four cities in Italy. Yes, it was difficult to lock all the roads. We shot in many museums like the Pitti, like the Palazzo Medici Riccardi, the Pitti. So it was extremely hard to control the tourists, to control the citizen, diverting the traffic. So I needed many people with me to help me, and they did a great job. They were very fantastic. Yeah.
It's great. Let's see, what lake location made you the most proud and securing?
Yeah, the Duomo is one of it, I think. And then even the courtyard of the Uffizi, we had a motorbike running on the Corridoio Vasariano and leading to the main courtyard of the Uffizi with cars drifting. That was difficult to get authorization and to, convincing the authorities. But at the end, they were very friendly, and we had respect of the monuments. They let us shoot the scenes. It was a very complex machine, let's say.
Well, thank you for sharing about your project with us. Look forward to everyone else seeing it. I wish we could show a clip of how exciting all these scenes that we're talking about. Thank you again for your time. Welcome, Jody Schiesser, Location Manager of the Peanut Butter Falcon, which is available to view on Amazon Prime. Glad to have you here today. Where are you zooming in from?
Hey there, so I'm zooming in from home in Savannah, Georgia, and that's where the Peanut Butter Falcon was filmed.
It's wonderful. So I noticed the theme of water was like so important. Can you please explain why that is, and by extension to the locations of this film?
Sure. Partly the theme of water comes from the story was that, actually set in the Outer Banks area of North Carolina, which is, there's a lot of water along that coast as well. And the directors wanted the feel of this constant sort of flow, whether the characters are moving by water or moving by land, and the water really helped with that sense of almost that kind of Mark Twain kind of feel of floating down the Mississippi from like those old stories, and that's what they were seeking, to kind of give it that the flow and everything would make it feel maybe more like a fable, or kind of add to that slight bit of magic realism they were seeking. So that was part of the reason. And then they were really seeking the beauty of the water too. One of the directors grew up in the Outer Banks. He just loved all his childhood around water, and he just wanted to kind of put that into the movie.
That's great. So how many locations used were specifically for the production versus from your library?
Sure. So on the Peanut Butter Falcon, it was probably about 80% were scouted for the film. Partly one of the great things about it put me into like different areas, like not only in Savannah, we didn't film a lot like right in the city, but we filmed a lot in about a 90-minute radius around Savannah, going into a lot of like the little tiny southern Georgia towns, and I really enjoyed that, getting to know like all the locals from those little towns that we shot in, and yeah, so it was pretty fantastic, just getting to know the area more, because it put me in places and pushed me into places I hadn't been. So.
Oh, that's great. In the Peanut Butter Falcon, which location was your favorite, and what makes your region of Georgia distinctive?
Sure. So I think probably my absolute favorite location, well, there's a couple, but can I say more than one? I really enjoyed the location where they were floating on the raft down the Blackwater Creek. That's called Ebenezer Creek, which is west of Savannah. And it's just so beautiful out there. And again, it's kind of like in sort of rural Georgia kind of feel to it, which is a little bit different than Savannah itself feels. So it was really great doing that. But one of the other locations I enjoyed a lot was down in south of Savannah, a small town of Valona. That's where the shrimp docks were, and that was really a fantastic place to be. It was almost like another world, It's very kind of off the beaten path kind of place. And I really enjoyed being there and setting that up, getting to know all the people there for our filming. And of course, sometimes when you go in these small towns, everybody's so welcoming and wants you to be there and bends over backwards to help. It's really pretty great.
Oh, it's great to hear. I got to travel to Georgia last summer. I'll definitely keep these places in mind for next time. Thank you so much for talking about your project.
Sure.
Hello, Mary Barrow. So location manager for Extraction, which is airing on Netflix. Glad to have you here today. Can you please tell us where you're zooming in from?
Well, hello. I'm zooming in from Sydney, Australia, mainlining coffee because it is now 2:30 in the morning down here. Oh, but I tell you what kept me awake was watching Six Underground to keep me awake until this time in the morning. So all praise to Enrico for his work, I have to say, because that just got my adrenaline going to get to this point tonight. So hello, I'm here from Sydney, Australia, and yeah, hello to everyone.
Oh, can you please tell us, how did you come about filming Thailand and Bangladesh? And how did you make it so convincing?
I would love to take all the credit for that, but of course, that's down to the magic of the art department, who did a phenomenal job, of course, and a little smattering of visual effects, quite a lot of smattering of visual effects. But of course, the starting point, as we all know, with anyone who works in these sorts of films, where you're having to double one country for another country, is to get a starting point, which at least puts you up on a level where you can then build on that. We started off, we actually scouted 4 countries and ended up shooting in 3. We wanted to shoot most of the film, or the vast majority of the film, in India to match for Bangladesh and a little bit of India. You know, we were doing India for India. However, after a month's worth of scouting and research and talking to all of our local contacts there, it became very apparent that to shoot a feature film of this particular scale with this requirement of action was going to be extremely hard, nigh on impossible. I hate to use the word impossible because that's not what we do in locations. We're always trying to find the possible. So anyway, but for various reasons, there were restrictions on helicopters, drones, armory, which meant that effectively we could only really curtail what we could really actually shoot in India. So therefore, we did shoot 3 weeks in India and then had to pivot to another country. So looking in the geography, we had to pivot to, ended up going to Thailand, which was fantastic. It was a great choice, and hooked up with an amazing facilitation company there called Indochina Productions, who also did the Five Bloods as well. They helped out with some of that, and put together a wonderful team there who helped put together. So we actually ended up shooting probably about 3 weeks in India and 3 months in Thailand, all up to match this world, and then 3 days in Bangladesh of tiny weeny second unit.
Wow, it's amazing. So I know you had mentioned number of locations, like how many of, let's see. So you have worked on like many different genres. So how does working for an action film like Extraction differ from other genres?
Look, there's of course the scale, and the knowledge of having to stage and break down major action sequences. So a very good example of that is in Extraction. Our wonderful, incredible director, first time director Sam Hargrave, put together this incredibly detailed 12-minute one sequence, so one shot sequence, which of course, as we know, is never one shot, it's all cut together. That took 3 weeks to shoot, and that has to be then so carefully and precisely planned every step of the way, of course, especially in a context of India, to do lockdowns. You know, we've all done lockdowns. Doing it in the context of India adds a whole other level of crowd management, goat management, cow management, camel management. I was up early in the morning, literally pushing cows out of the way to then put the barriers up, and thousands and thousands and thousands of onlookers that you're having to gently, you know, keep back and keep safe so that you can stage these big stunts. Because action, of course, requires huge amounts of stunts and set pieces, but finely choreographed. So you have to be very in tune with how the director's thinking, how the stunt department are working, and all of that infrastructure that goes with that. So it's quite weighty. There's quite a heavy footprint to it, if you like, which is not easy to manage logistically, but I'm always a great believer that you've got to try and keep a focus on what's going to be on screen all the time. Doesn't matter about the parking at the end of the day. We all know parking has to happen, but it's about what happens on screen and the action on screen, and you've got to keep that focus. And our director and our incredible production designer, Phil Ivey, kept us all on track with that, so that we kept on focusing on that the whole time.
Oh, nice. Well, how do you think films will be able to do this again in our new age?
The new age of coronavirus, or what are we talking about here?
Sure. Yes.
The new age of coronavirus. Look, I am in the fortunate position of being one of the few location managers who've worked throughout. I have not stopped working, and I've not stopped shooting. That is in the context, I hasten to add, of Australia, where our numbers have been very, very low. However, that said, look, none of us can be complacent. We can't be complacent here. We've had a recent extra spike that's happened, so we're all extremely alert and extremely aware. And look, we've all put measures into place. Every department has to put extra measures into place. You have to adapt. But we, as location professionals, that's what we do. As film professionals, that's what we do. We have to adapt to every environment. I like to think we're all pretty good at adapting and pioneering new ways of doing things. And everybody's working super fast and super hard to do that. So I think actually we're finding ways to make it work. Certainly here in Australia, we are very much so. So we're busy forging ahead. There's an awful lot of testing that's happening. Many productions here certainly are, the crew are being tested 2-3 times a week to keep going. There's obviously daily temperature testing and checking in, and wearing of masks, and appropriate measures in terms of the amount of people who can be in an interior location, which that's hard. Actually, the hardest is managing the interior locations. But yeah, I'm remarkably impressed by how the film industry as a whole is responding and communicating through means like this, through things like the LMGI, who are phenomenal. We're all now comparing notes internationally with swapping notes on how we can improve things and how we can change things and how we can adapt and switch to a different path to get us through this. We will come out the other side, and we will get back to a new normal. But it's good to have the support of organizations like this to lean on.
Oh, thank you so much for tuning in from Australia. It was great hearing your story and everyone else's. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Be sure to register to view the LMGI 7th Annual Award Ceremony on October 24th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.